You're listening to Tamez Labs, the AI Creativity Series. I'm Jack, here with Trip. We're exploring the AI tools that help you create quality work and avoid the slop. On today's show, we're testing out a pitch deck workflow using V0, Figma, and Cursor to see if you can actually ship a working interactive prototype for a startup pitch in a single afternoon. We had a pitch to prep, real stakes, investor demo, Monday deadline. The prototype had to actually work, not just look like something a designer printed out and laminated. So I ran the whole stack in one afternoon. V0 to scaffold it, Figma to make it not look anonymous, Cursor to fix the things that would have killed us in the room.
And the question we kept coming back to is where the AI compression is real versus where it's quietly eating the thing you needed to protect. Because there is a version of this workflow that ships a prototype fast, and a version that ships something that looks like every other V0 project an investor has seen in the last 18 months.
The first version of it you can tell in about 30 seconds. The buttons are the same, the card radius is the same, the typography pairing is the same. It's competent, and it's anonymous, and if anyone in that room has spent time around AI scaffolded products, they will feel it before they can name it.
That's the slop line for this workflow specifically. Not broken, anonymous. And that's a harder problem to solve than broken.
So the entry point is V0. You describe the interface, dashboard, onboarding flow, pricing table, whatever the pitch needs. And it generates functional React and Next.js components with Tailwind styling, live in a browser, clickable immediately. The Taskade team clocked it building a contacts table, a search bar, and a detail modal in about 3 minutes. They called the UI quality outstanding.
And then spent 50 minutes wiring the actual app. Database, auth, API routes, deployment. That ratio is the story. The AI component is fast. The integration work is not, and it does not compress the same way.
For pitch prototyping, that ratio works in your favor because you are not shipping a production app, you are shipping a demo path. You need the thing to be clickable and feel real on a specific sequence of screens. V0 gets you there, structurally, in under 90 minutes if you are not asking it to make design decisions.
That condition matters. The working pros who have documented this workflow are clear. V0 is an implementation tool, not a design exploration tool. Every prompt asking it to try a different layout or make something feel more premium burns tokens, produces divergent component versions, and builds a codebase that Cursor has to untangle later. The discipline is design in Figma first, then use V0 for implementation only.
I did not do this in the correct order initially. I used V0 to figure out what the layout should be, which cost me real money and real time. Heavy users are reporting $10 to $30 a day on the token billing model. There is a documented case of someone spending $300 on a single fix loop. I did not spend $300, but I understood that number by the time I was done.
V0 shifted to token-based billing in February, replacing fixed credit counts. Free tier is $5 a month in credits. Complex generations consume faster than simple components. And the March reliability issues, ignored prompts, bug loops, mean a bad generation without a clear exit path can eat a real chunk of your afternoon. One account had users spending 20% of their budget fixing the tool's own breakage.
The escape hatch when V0 starts looping is to stop prompting V0. Go to Cursor, fix the specific thing. Do not ask V0 to fix V0.
Which is the right instinct, but it requires knowing what the correct behavior looks like in the first place. Cursor will generate a plausible fix. Plausible and correct are different. If you don't have a clear picture of what the interaction should do, you will iterate towards something that works technically and is still wrong for the pitch.
This is where Figma holds the workflow together. And I want to be clear that Figma's role in this stack is not prototyping. It is system authority. It is where design intent lives before it touches the AI. You are pulling tokens, exact hex values, type scales, component specs, and you are applying them explicitly in the cursor phase. There is no auto-sync. That does not exist yet.
Config was announced earlier this week, and the headline feature for this workflow is code layers, which converts design layers to interactive code layers. That's in early access starting next month. Figma Motion is available now. Timeline with keyframes, exports to CSS, React, and MP4. And Figma Make, the visual editing of production codebases with PR creation, is in limited beta on Mac desktop only. Dylan Field's framing at the keynote was that code is not the opposite of design, code is material for design.
Which raises the question of whether Figma is closing the gap to where this workflow eventually collapses from 3 tools into 1.
Not yet. Make is Mac only, PR-based, and adds friction for a fast afternoon workflow, unless you already have a clean Git setup. For a pitch this Monday, it is probably not in the critical path. Worth watching, but not worth betting the demo on.
So in practice, the Figma phase is 60 to 90 minutes of surgical extraction and application. You are finding every place V0 made a default choice. The button color, the font weight, the spacing scale, and you are replacing it with what the brand actually specifies. This is not glamorous. It is the most important thing you will do all afternoon.
Because what you are correcting is not a technical failure. V0's output is technically fine. You are correcting a taste failure. The component does not know what the brand is for. It does not know whether this is a B2B product that needs to communicate trust or a consumer app that needs to feel fast. Those are different interaction signatures, and the AI will not infer them from a layout prompt.
The micro-interactions are brand signals. How a form confirms success, whether an error state is harsh or gentle, whether a loading state uses a spinner or a skeleton. V0 will make all of those decisions if you let it. The working pro's job is to make them first and use Cursor to implement them precisely.
And the demo path itself is a design decision the AI cannot make. A pitch prototype does not need to work everywhere. It needs to work on the specific screen in the specific sequence that the founder will run. Defining that path and hard-coding it where necessary is a judgment call that requires knowing what investors will click, what they won't, and what a broken admin settings page costs you in the room, which is nothing if no investor gets there.
The broken admin settings page is extremely fixable. It is also completely irrelevant to a Series A pitch. Cursor does not know this. You have to know this.
That triage call is the most time-sensitive craft decision in the workflow. Cursor will surface legitimate bugs. Not all of them matter. Choosing which edge cases to fix versus accept as out of scope is the difference between shipping a tight demo and spending your last hour patching things nobody will see.
The one slop failure that compounded for me was animation inconsistency. I dropped Figma Motion exports into the V0 codebase without running them through Cursor for integration, and the timing curves did not match across components. Some transitions felt fast, some felt slow, nothing felt intentional. It is a subtle tell, but it is exactly the kind of thing that registers as unfinished without anyone being able to say why.
That is the version of slop that is hardest to catch, because no individual component is wrong. The system is wrong. And a system that feels slightly off in a demo communicates uncertainty about the product, whether or not anyone in the room can articulate what they are sensing.
We shipped. The demo path worked. It looks like the brand. The interactions were correct for a B2B pitch. The ROI math on a Monday deadline is real. A deployed, working prototype by end of day for the cost of a few hours of tool time is a genuine compression of what used to take a week.
The compression is real, and the slop risk is real simultaneously. The workflow earns its speed on the implementation side. The craft requirement does not compress. Brand injection, interaction spec, demo path definition, edge case triage, those 4 decisions are still fully human, and they are the 4 decisions the prototype lives or dies on in the room.
What working pros are figuring out is that this stack is fastest when you treat it exactly like you would treat a capable junior who works very fast and does not know your brand. You review everything. You direct specifically. You do not commit blindly.
The three-tool overhead exists because no single tool closes the loop yet. V0 for volume, Figma for authority, Cursor for precision. That handoff chain works when each tool stays in its lane. When it breaks is when you ask any one of them to do the other's job. The workflow is the discipline, not the tools.
The afternoon is genuinely enough time. What it is not is low attention time.
That's the AI craft worth knowing about this week. Follow Tamez Labs if you want to stay ahead of your field and your competition. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Grab news. Tamez.